Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the MCDFNL Footy Show for another week. Great to be back with you once again as we almost start the countdown towards the finals. There's only 4 games to go for each of the teams for the rest of the season now, and we're not far away at all. Sean Kelly's my name. Joining me as always, my co-host Sam Gowers. Sammy, welcome back, mate.
Thanks, mate. Glad to be here again.
Really enjoying reading the Addy at the moment too. Doing some good work. Congratulations.
Thanks, mate. Some of my best work.
That's what we like to see. Some of the best work happening within the MCDFNL on the weekend as well, as we have a clear ladder leader now, which we'll talk about very, very shortly, and things starting to look pretty interesting at the top of the table. But firstly, we're going to talk about the Campbells Creek Footy Club. We've talked about them off field in the last couple of weeks for the fantastic job they've been doing. It's now time to talk about them on field, taking on Trentham on the weekend and getting over the line. Just got over the line by a point. Had to really try and put the brakes on a Trentham side that were flying at them at the end, but they got the job done, and by doing so, they've probably put a real dampener on Trentham's finals hopes.
Yeah, they certainly will have. I suppose the last couple of weeks, Sean, we've talked about Trentham needing to win these sort of games, and they haven't on the weekend. But very encouraging signs for Campbell's Creek, and very encouraging as well for Mick Galvin, who's re-signed with the Creekers for another season.
Yeah, he
so
certainly
he'll be very happy to get another win under his belt.
He will be indeed. Ilsley with 5 goals, a very encouraging sight and a best on-ground performance on the weekend for the Creek. And Trentham 5 goals to 2 in the last quarter, just couldn't quite stem the tide there. Good work by Creek to be able to hang on in a close game, which this year, normally, they haven't been able to hang on in.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's probably another encouraging sign for Mick Galvin, that the players are starting to sort of gel together as a unit and fight games out right to the end, whereas in weeks gone by they might have dropped their head and said, oh well. But yeah, very nice to see a couple of teams that are outside the finals, I guess, but still putting on blockbuster games.
Yeah, they are, and it's good because it gives Mick Galvin something to work with for next year now. He can put some time in over these last few games to some players and say, this is what I want you to do next year. His pre-season basically starts now.
Yeah, absolutely, but I imagine on the flip side of that, up at Trentham, I think they would have copped a fair old rocket.
That's what I've heard, that they're not all that happy with things at the moment, but it's not out this week. They play Maldon this week, Trentham, so they'll start favourites in that one. So their finals aren't completely out as yet, but that'll make it difficult.
Yeah, it certainly will. They'll need a massive, massive win.
They will indeed. Teams that are finals bound, though, are the Royal Park Football Netball Club. A lot of people may have thought, oh yeah, fluky win against Navarre on the weekend, got them at the right time, everything like that. Then they knock over Natty Bialaba on the weekend, and not just knock them over, but do them in nicely. And everybody now, anybody that thought that win against Navarre was a fluke, need to eat their words, because Royal Park are well and truly the real deal this year.
Yeah, certainly out on top, at the top of the ladder, game clear.
Yep.
We've seen them knock over the other top 4 sides now. Carisbrook early on in the season, now Navarre and Natty 2 weeks in a row. Absolutely the real deal. Really, really impressive on the weekend.
Yeah, they do indeed. Just looking through their run home at the moment, they've got Talbot, Maldon, Denali. They have Carisbrook as well in round 15, which will be very, very interesting. And then they've got the Rovers last game, which is always interesting as well. So an interesting run home for Bushy, but you'd basically have good money on them finishing on top of the ladder at this stage.
Yeah, certainly would. Looking at that run home, Carisbrook's probably their only game which presents any real danger. So yeah, should be interesting to see how the Tigers fare for the rest of the year.
That being said, Rovers last round might need to get into the finals, as we've seen in previous years. Rovers in that last round have done some damage to Bushy.
Yeah, absolutely. Always interesting games between those two, so that should be an interesting end to the season for both clubs.
It will be indeed, but tell us about this game. Obviously, Royal Park taking Natty to the sword a little bit. What did they do that went so right for them?
I think it was that precision kicking game that we spoke against. They played it against Navarre, and they did it again on the weekend. Really suit big grounds. It'll be interesting to see how they go finals time. We know Princes Park's a little bit more boxed in than maybe Hedges Oval, but particularly that half-back line, Jay Anderson, James Linderback and Anthony Zelensich moving the ball really nicely and giving them direction from half-back. Hitting up forwards, we saw Josh Brown pretty well helped by Jack Kennedy. Only booted 1 goal, and Murray Bond as well, just kicked 2. Chris Jardine did a good job on him, but we saw guys like Adam McLean, Jacob Cahill, maybe those mid-sized forwards step up to the plate. I think McLean kicked 4 and Cahill kicked 3. So a couple of other dangerous forward-line threats up there.
Natty, their last 3 weeks, they've taken on the other top 4 sides. They've come out of it with 1 win and 2 losses. What does that tell us about Natty this year? Are they a real threat to be in the business end of the season come preliminary final weekend?
I think they are, because we saw them push Navarre right to the limit. Obviously, that Jared Bateson probably would have been really disappointed with how they played against Royal Park on the weekend. I think a few blokes might have dropped their heads a little bit after half-time. and just thought this one's a bit too hard. But we've still got Bateson to come back in, which we know would be a massive...
I like how you used we there as well. It was very, very good.
Massive boost for the Swans, probably their best player.
Yep.
So to have him out is a big, I suppose, minus for Natty. Put him back in and they're a different team. Whether they can beat Royal Park remains to be seen.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see. At the moment, it'll be interesting to see who finishes in that fourth spot, whether it'll be Carisbrook or Natty, and who gets obviously the chance to take on Royal Park in that first week of the finals, or Nevada, depending on which way things go, of course. So some very, very interesting games coming up to end the season off as well. Our other big talking point from the last weekend was multicultural round, not just in the MCDFNL, but across AFL Goldfields as well. And we sent our cameras out to Arnold's Creek, of course, the eastern home of AFL Goldfields, last weekend for the very first AFL Goldfields Multicultural Lunch. Had some interviews, chatted with some people, had a chat with Junior 1-1 from the Melton Centrals Football Club as well, who is the AFL Goldfields Multicultural trainee, just about some initiatives that Melton Centrals did on the day, celebrating their Polynesian heritage, and something that MCDFNL clubs can look at for next year as well. So a really good piece. It's probably more AFL Goldfield centric than MCDFL centric, but something that clubs can potentially learn from.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably a really important message regardless of what league it comes from.
Agreed. So let's have a look at this piece. AFL Goldfields Multicultural Round. Let's have a look how it all worked out.
It celebrates multiculturalism in football in general. We're getting a lot of people from diverse backgrounds and communities to our come and try day today and our luncheon. And it's about celebrating multiculturalism in football and raising awareness to the multicultural communities in Melton about the football that exists for people to be able to participate in. We're having everything here today from Bhutanese dance groups to our AFL Multicultural Ambassadors. We've got a guest speaker who's a VFL Multicultural Ambassador. So it's a great celebration of multicultural football in general.
Yeah, it really means a lot, like growing up not knowing much about football and then being invited to one of these events just to speak about where I've come from and what it's like to play AFL or potentially play AFL or play in the VFL is a really good opportunity for me.
This jersey that me and my other companion made together represents my culture and everyone else that's diverse in my team. Turtle behind me represents peace, love, and family. It's really good to let everyone know what I've designed, me and my companion, and just to show everyone my culture.
Sam and Junior have organised a haka for the pre-game for the seniors, which is going to be fantastic.
It's going to feel really special because I'm showing my background in front of everyone, to my team, my family, outside. Just everyone's going to be there watching me doing my own thing for my culture.
AFL Goldfields Multicultural Round captured out at Arnold's Creek Reserve last weekend, and I'll tell you what, watching that haka, if I watch that too many more times, the hairs stand up on the back of the neck a little bit there. That is great stuff to see.
Yeah, certainly very intimidating as well. Wouldn't like to be on the wrong end of that.
No, definitely not. But let's move our attention back towards the MCDFL and have a look at what's going to be a big round of footy this weekend. Round 12 in the Maryborough Castlemaine District Football and Netball League starts out at Avoca this weekend at the Avoca Public Park as Avoca take on Carisbrook.
Yeah, it should be an interesting game this one. We saw Carisbrook bounce back from that loss to Natty last week. They beat Maryborough Rovers in some pretty trying conditions. A lot of rain, really slippery underfoot. Pretty poor kicking at goal from the Redbacks. I think they ended up with 12 goals.
21.
21. But what will be encouraging for Tim McKay is they kept Rovers scoreless in the first half, not even a behind the Magpies. So in pretty good nick, Carisbrook, regardless of that loss to Natty.
Yeah, should get the job done this week, you'd imagine.
Imagine so. I'm going to the Redbacks.
We mentioned this more on the MCDFNL Netball show, which is also coming to your screens this week, but a huge congratulations to Sheridan Byrne from the Carisbrook Footy Club, her 300th game in the netball ranks for Carisbrook this weekend. Obviously, crossing shows a little bit, and we go into it in good detail on the netball show, but that's a fantastic achievement for the three-time Nolda Tracy Trophy winner.
Yeah, it certainly is still one of the toughest defenders in the MCDFNL netball ranks. So yeah, well done to Sheridan.
Congratulations to Sheridan and Carisbrook to win the senior footy in that one. Denali taking on Navarre at Deledio Reserve. Navarre found their mojo a little bit again last weekend against Avoca. We predicted that it probably wouldn't be a good day for Avoca, and we were right. Cody Driscoll, 9 goals on the weekends, got one hand on the goal-kicking trophy already, and you'd think that he could be in for another bag this weekend.
Yeah, it certainly could be, but Denali, I'm told, were pretty impressive against Lexington last week, getting, I suppose, what was a bit of a surprise win.
It was, but it wasn't. It was almost which Denali showed up, the really good Denali that we saw earlier in the year, or the one that had tailed off a little bit throughout the mid-stages. So it was the good Denali that showed up, and it's really put the cat amongst the pigeons. We were speaking about the ladder last week a little bit. It's really put them back in the hunt.
Yeah, it certainly has, and Denali was probably one side that we thought maybe was on the slide a little bit. We might see them drop outside the 8 come finals time, but if that good Denali keeps turning up, they might play a big part come finals time. Sadly, I can't see the Eagles getting over the Grasshoppers in this one.
And Navarre looking for their second consecutive win this week. Doesn't quite sound as promising as 50 in a row, does it? But it could be the start of something new.
It could be the start of another big run. You never know.
Could be indeed. Harcourt take on Lexington this week, and boy, this is a big game as well. Harcourt going down last week, and not just going down, but Talbot really giving it to them at their home ground as well. Lexington will be looking to rebound after last week and losing some ground in they've basically lost touch with the top 4 a little bit now, and they're going to find it hard to get back into there now. So they just need to keep winning games and get back on the winners list. And Harcourt, they're another team that's on the slide a little bit at the moment.
Yeah, really, really interesting, Kate. This one almost a toss of the coin job, because Lexington were building really nicely after a slow start to the season, but that loss to Nolly sort of derails their momentum a little bit. I'm still going to go with the Tigers, but yeah, like I said, toss of the coin job this game.
Tigs for mine as well, but you can talk about Harcourt in the same type of terms we spoke about Denali about before. Harcourt shows up, the one that's on the slide that we've seen over the last couple of weeks, or the one that got some really impressive wins earlier in the season.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I think they would have been pretty disappointed to lose to Talbot in such a big fashion. Maybe not the fact that they lost to Talbot, because we know the Hawks are travelling nicely, but just how big that margin was would have disappointed the Lions.
Yeah, it would be indeed. Lexington for me.
Yeah, Lexington for me as well.
Newstead taking on Natty Bialaba on the weekend. Big test for Natty Bialaba, obviously, coming off that loss to Royal Park last week, having to travel to Newstead to take on a Newstead team that's in a bit of form at the moment. Adrian Conn, 11 goals on the weekend, just winding the clock back a little bit. And whilst you said, obviously, that the key forwards were held well for Royal Park last week by the Natty defenders, Newstead are a team that when they're on, they can get on, and obviously they had some medium forwards. Tommy Reese kicking 5 goals last week as well, so it makes life a little bit interesting. This will be a good game.
Yeah, it will be. Like you said, Conn's their big forward, but Tom and Sam Reese really dangerous mid-sized forwards, I guess, in the air and
that's
at
what
ground
killed them
level.
last week.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see how Natty goes about matching up on those two. I'm going to go with the Swans, but it'd be interesting to see how they bounce back from that loss. Obviously, their biggest loss of the season going to Royal Park.
Yeah, look, I'm going for the Swans as well, but not with much confidence. Newstead need the win to kind of keep them in touch with that group in the top 8 as well, and I reckon they can pull off an upset. I'm not going to tip it, but I reckon if they come 100%, that they can nearly pull off the upset here.
Yeah, Newstead's always been, I suppose, a little bit of a bogey side for Natty. We know even last year when Newstead were rebuilding and lower down the ladder, they really, really pushed the Swans on their home turf. So interesting to see how this one turns out. Obviously, Natty for me. Yeah,
this will be interesting as well. So will the next game, Royal Park taking on Talbot at Hedges Oval. You can make an argument that these are the two informed sides in the MCDFNL at the moment. Obviously, we know how well Royal Park are going, but Talbot really flying under the radar and playing some good football at the moment. They've had some big wins in recent weeks, and they'll go into this game chock full of confidence. Obviously, re-signed their coaches, re-signed assistant coach Brendan Hedger for next year as well. So they're another team that's got their ducks in order already for next year, and they can really focus on ending 2016 on the best possible note and perhaps going deep into finals. Yeah, I think re-signing Matt Smith and Dallas Byers has maybe given Talbot a little bit of stability, a little bit of forward direction.
Unfortunately, I can't see that full direction getting them over the line against Royal Park based on what I saw last week, especially on the Tigers' home turf.
Yeah, I think you're right as well. But I think what Nat Smith and Dallas Spies will want from Talbot this week is just to really crack in, give it everything, and see how close they can get. Because if they can get within a couple of goals of Royal Park, it'll give them some confidence to say, well, hang on, we might be sitting outside the top 4, but we can match it with these top 4 teams. And if they, obviously in the second week of the finals, if they finish in fifth spot as they're in at the moment, get through that, they're going to have to play one of these top 4 teams to try and advance. So they need to really get some confidence out of this game, I think.
Yeah, they do. The other interesting thing I think is teams now know that Royal Park play that short chipping, precision kicking game. So it'll be interesting to see how opposition coaches go about breaking that up.
Man up.
Yeah, man up, but keeping up with the Tigers might be another challenge.
Exactly
very, very
right
quick.
as well. Very quick, very fit as well. All the work that AJ Beecham did early in the season really starting to pay off Royal Park to win this one, but I reckon Talbot will give them a bit of a shake. Another interesting game at the Creeker Dome this week. Campbell's Creek taking on the Maryborough Rovers. As you said, the Rovers didn't bring their A game last week, from what I heard. Didn't particularly enjoy the wet conditions on the weekend as well. Weather's supposed to be pretty good this weekend, but Campbell's Creek will come in with some momentum after that narrow win against Trentham last week.
Yeah, they will. I think Rovers' belief might have been dented a little bit by that big loss to Carrickbrook. They were travelling quite nicely before that. They'll still have their eyes fixed on breaking into that top 8, so I'm going to go with the Magpies.
Yeah, Magpies for me as well, as long as they bring their A game, because if they don't, Creek will get them.
Yeah, they will, and Creek will have that little bit of momentum from that 1 point win over Trentham last week.
Yeah, it will be indeed. 2 black and white sides taking on each other, and two sets of Magpies really as well. So
yeah, I suppose Rovers are probably more commonly known as the Magpies.
Yes.
Campbell's Creek's usually the Creekers.
yes, exactly right. Sunday footy again this week in the MCDFNL. It's our last Sunday game until the finals, actually. So there's one for you, as well as Maldon take on Trentham at the Bill Woodfull Recreation Reserve this weekend. Absolute must-win for Trentham.
Oh, absolutely, especially against a Maldon side that's probably struggling a little bit. Haven't won a game this year, so good chance for Trentham to, I suppose, rediscover that early season form and get a win on the board.
And not just a win, they need to boost their percentage as well. Really need to... They almost need to make a statement this weekend.
Yeah, on the flip side of that, I suppose Maldon will see this as a chance to maybe steal
they'll go into a huge chance, I reckon.
Steal their first win of the season. A Trentham side that's maybe starting to falter a little bit, and be interesting to see if the Dons can capitalise on that.
Yeah, it will be indeed. I'm tipping Trentham in this one. Yourself?
Yeah, Trentham for me as well.
That's beautiful work. All 7 games done and dusted this weekend in the MCDFNL. That's all the time we've got for this week. We'll be back next week with more MCDFNL footy show. Thanks, of course, to Bendigo Bank in Maryborough, our fantastic naming rights partners, not just for the league, but also for the footy show. Sammy, thanks for your time again this week, mate.
Thanks, mate. Glad to be here.
Any previews of what's going to be coming in Friday's Addy this week for us to have a look at before the footy?
I can't give too much away, but some top quality footy coverage, that's for sure.
That's what we want to hear. So obviously I was trying to save myself $1.30 to buy the Addy there, but if you're going to give me a little bit of a chop out, but you're not going to do that, so make sure you outlay that $1.30 and get yourself the Maryborough advertise. Still $1.30, isn't it?
Still $1.30, pay my wage.
Beautiful work. Make sure you do that as well. Thanks for joining us once again on the MCDFNL Footy Show, folks. We'll see you next week.